Hi, Doctor. This is my section. Earth is under my protection. Planet of Earth is Gallifrey. I've got 2 hearts. Your life is safe. Run into the master raw Missy. Come on, Alonzo. Alonzi. I am a Time Lord. No, I'm not Rick. 12 bodies a man. Now it's time for a switch. Don't look like that. I'm in great health. You were expecting someone else. Regeneration. Oh, such fun. When I say run, run, run. What's up, my boy? Peace and sanity. Sorry, mustache. Reverse the polarity. Sometimes I'm north, but always a limey, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. Jump in the TARDIS, go for a ride, it's bigger on the inside. Exploring all of time and space, oh, what's that? Exterminate.
Cyberman, a TARDIS, baby.
Would you like a jelly, baby? Time's ticking, we'd best go. A new adventure, Geronimo! I am fantastic, so are you. Best come with me, I'm Doctor Who. To a brand new episode of D4WH. I am one of your hosts. I'm Adam O'Sullivan. Joining me, as always, is the iridescent Nicchia Schutt.
I'm iridescent.
That's correct, yes.
I've always wanted to be iridescent.
Oh, and there you are.
Is that just because I'm so pale?
Yes.
I'm
you
just
shine brighter than the others.
Oh.
I mean literally, not with your personality.
Yeah,
No,
I probably shouldn't have worn so much glitter for this, but it makes me feel...
We're trying to make it a glittery podcast.
Yeah.
The glitter is a good look for a podcast.
Yeah, I think it is too. I mean, it is getting everywhere, but you know.
And soon we will be able to transition into what we really want to do, and that's to talk about the Mariah Carey movie, Glitter.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, masterpiece.
I know. When we get to that, that will be my favourite ever episode of Doctor Who.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love it. If only we could put the Doctor into glitter somehow.
Yeah.
We haven't even introduced our guest. We've already made our first reference.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Today we are joined by one of the hosts of the Mighty Motion Picture Rangers podcast, the very passionate Charnstar Anderson.
Hello, I am Charnstar Anderson.
How are you?
I'm waving on a podcast.
They can't see you. You actually do have your own podcast and you decided to wave.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there are so many things we do on our podcast where, like, when listening to it, I was like, oh, I'm doing something physical there. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
You should really just stick a GoPro in the corner of a room so you can see what we're doing.
And I feel like that's what YouTube is for.
Yeah, I could do a YouTube.
Yeah, mate, that's a good idea. We should do that here because there's a lot of air quotations which no one can see.
Yeah, we just do it just for the air quotations.
Just so people can see how pretentious we are when we're doing our...
We do release our episodes on YouTube.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, they just don't have any.
Don't have any pictures.
No.
Well, we just stick a GoPro in the corner of the room, sync it up.
Yeah.
But then I'd have to edit the video.
Yeah, that's a
that.
bit rough.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Don't edit the video.
No.
If we're out of sync, who cares?
Yeah, no one want to... Well, then the air quotes will be lost, and they'll be like, why are they air quoting that particular word?
The episode goes for an hour. The actual video episode goes for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
It'll be good.
Charnstar, do you want to go through your Doctor Who history? How did
absolutely.
you get into it?
Well, I was kind of... Because my family are nerds. Well, my mum in particular. It's all my mum's fault. Blame Jackie Anderson.
Thank her.
Thank her, yeah.
Yeah,
So
thank her.
She
exactly.
is so nerdy that when she got the divorce, she changed her name, not to her maiden name, but to Jackie Verne, after Jules Verne.
Wow, that's
I
awesome.
love that.
She is a wonderful woman. I love her. So what am I wearing today? Okay, no, not wearing one of our nerdy shirts. We both subscribe to this great t-shirt website called QWERTY, so QWERTEE,
Yep.
where every day they release a new shirt for, I think it's £10, and it's a different shirt every day. And there have been so many times that both me and my mum would look at one and be like, oh, yeah, they would love that, so I'm going to buy that for them. And we've both bought the same shirt for each other. So we're a special type of nerdy, you know. Star Wars, never Star Trek. Star Trek I found on my own. Stargate and Doctor Who, obviously.
Oh, all of them. Basically all of the big ones.
Oh, yeah,
So
definitely.
your mum's not a Star Trek fan?
No, she isn't.
Star Trek I found later, but the first Star Trek, Captain Kirk was just a little bit too sleazy for me.
That was my problem going through James Bond when you get to
Yeah.
Roger Moore.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it. But yeah, my childhood with Doctor Who was just so hodgepodge and random. I don't remember my first Doctor. I specifically think that it might have been the Paul McGann movie, if just because I've always had an affinity for Paul McGann's Doctor. So that might have been the case. But it wasn't... I completely shunned when the new series came in, because I was like, no, I was brought up on Doctor Who. I don't need your new stuff. And it wasn't until I started dating my now wife, she had them on DVDs. I think we watched season 5 together, the first first with Matt Smith, and I was like, oh no, this is really good.
Yeah.
And then we ended up watching together seasons 1 through 4, and I loved it from there.
I'm sorry, Paul McGann. I like the new stuff.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. You can still like Paul. I still like Paul,
Yeah, no,
and I
absolutely.
like old and new.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I specifically love about the audio plays, is that they feel like a genuine mix between old and new Who.
Yeah.
They do. They've got the cliffhangers. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, we are going to be talking about Paul McGann, but before we do, let's start with our first segment, Doctor Who News. Now, we will be discussing the Big Finish audio plays quite a bit during this episode, so it's only fitting that our news today is also about Big Finish. It's been announced that Paul McGann's 8th Doctor will be going up against Derek Jacobi's War Master.
Ooh.
Which is something we've been waiting for a while.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
The 4 new audio plays will be part of a series called The War Master, The Rage of the Time Lords. This is actually the 3rd series of War Master adventures, following Series 1, Only the Good, and Series 2, The Master of Callus. Series 3 is being released in July 2019, with Series 4, Anti-Genesis, available from December 2019.
Ooh. So that's good. I love the fact that with the Big Finish in the audio, they can, like they did one where Paul McGann's Doctor went back and helped all the other Doctors in
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
it's so good, and that you can do it because you can't see them, so
Yeah.
you can get their voice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter that they've
There's an
aged.
episode where he goes back and, well, he meets Susan, his granddaughter.
That's a great episode.
Yeah,
it's
and he
really
meets
sweet.
he meets his grandson as well, Alex,
Yeah.
which is one of my favourite episodes. I've got to
There's
say.
also a...
Family Dimensions, I think.
Yeah, Family Dimensions, that's the one. There's also an episode with the 8th Doctor, sorry. No, sorry. I am completely lost now.
I'm sorry, you told us
Edit
you
all
knew
this
about
out.
Doctor Who, so you
Yeah.
can get the fuck out.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough. I will remember what I was saying later.
Okay, Beck, you want to write down the first edit point? Thank you. Anyway, the teaser for the series is as follows. With all of time and space in chaos, the Master plots his most audacious project yet. Only one other Time Lord has ever been able to stop him, but where is that Time Lord when the universe needs him? They're of course referring to the Rani.
Yeah. Where is the Rani?
Where is the Rani?
When are they bringing her back?
See, the Rani's back in the Big Finish. She's
Yeah.
come back a few times.
Yeah.
And there have been so many times in New Who where I'm like, oh my god, are they leaning up towards the Rani? I was expecting
Yeah.
Missy to be the Rani.
Yeah,
when-
same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which was, I feel like everyone was expecting it. But yeah, no, it's still not back in the main series. And
And I want to see the Rani back.
I feel like the Rani was so, not misused, underused in the old series.
Yeah, and look, she's an interesting character because she's not evil. She's just all science-based. And
Yeah.
so, you know, for the greater good of science, she'll kill people.
And it's a different sort of Time Lord, which is
Yeah.
what I'm excited about, because
Yeah.
like you've got the Doctor sort of Time Lord, you've got the Master sort of Time Lord, you've got the Rassilon type of Time Lord.
Omega.
Yeah, you got
him.
Omega. Oh, well, technically Omega was never a Time Lord.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And once again, I will be the least nerdiest person on this podcast. Yes,
or Omega. I never know how to pronounce it.
today we will be talking about the 8th Doctor portrayed by Paul McGann. McGann's only television portrayal of the Doctor was in the 1996 movie. He did revive the role for the YouTube and DVD extra short The Night of the Doctor, which shows the 8th Doctor regenerating.
It was fantastic to see him.
And can I say, it's also my favourite part of New Who lore because it has made all of the Big Finish audio
Yes.
plays canon.
Yes.
So now no one can argue with me and you all have to listen to
Yeah.
it.
Yes, because he names...
He names Charlie,
Yeah.
Cariz,
Lucy. My favourite companion.
Yeah, Tamsin. I'm trying. Mary Shelley. who
Oh,
is-
yes.
I've got the Mary Shelley ones. I still haven't listened to them.
Oh,
wow.
really? Oh, I didn't like Tamsin much.
Well, Tamsin was just a cheap Lucy.
Yeah, she was. She was. Lucy was fabulous.
However, the 8th Doctor has been very prolific in other media, with novels, comic books, and audio plays being produced. And that's what we will be discussing most. He's actually the longest running Doctor in the comic books.
He's also technically ever the longest running Doctor, even though he didn't play any characters for like
No, or technically the
12
longest,
years.
the longest running Doctor is
Tom Baker.
Sylvester McCoy. Because
Really?
he did 3 years, and then there were 7 years without it. So technically he was the Doctor for 10 years.
Yeah, but there was no without it, so...
Well, they hadn't officially cancelled it, and he came back in
He came back and
in 93.
regenerated
He
that.
also came back for the movie.
True.
So technically he was the Doctor for 10 years.
For the longest.
When did Doctor Who start again?
63?
Oh, no, sorry, in the 2000s.
2005.
2005.
Damn, that's 9 years.
That's 9 years,
Ah,
yeah.
You got me, Adam.
Just pipped to the post. That's why I do all the research on the show and why I'm the nerd.
Well, I think Paul McGann, he was the one who kept it alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it wasn't for him and for people using his character and him doing the audios and the books and stuff, I don't think the pressure would have mounted to relaunch it in 2005. So
surely it proves that the fact that as the second the movie came out, they switched everything. They changed the books so that he was the new Doctor. They changed the comics so he was the new Doctor. When Big Finish started doing the audio plays, they were like, let's get the 8th Doctor. And to be fair, like, the comics and the novels could have gone on without him, but the fact that Paul McGann was willing enough to be in those audio plays, and he's done over 80 audio plays with Big Finish.
Oh yeah,
that's one of the reasons. And I didn't even know there was this huge history with Paul McGann. I'd actually never seen the movie, which we will discuss.
Have you seen it now?
I have seen the movie, yes.
Excellent.
And I've listened to about 4 or 5 of the audiobooks.
Nice.
The first 3, 5. The first 3, The Charms of Midnight and The Prisoner of the Sun.
Oh,
yes,
like The
excellent.
Prisoner of the Sun.
Prisoner of the Sun was my first one I listened to. I went to what was it, Supernova, and there was like a Big Finish sale thing. They were selling the CDs, and I was like, where can I start? I just want a good first point, and they handed me Prisoner of the Sun, and I'm pretty sure it was a Davros episode with Colin Baker, and I got those two. Because I feel like Colin Baker and Paul McGann are the two that really blew up with Big Finish because they were so underused.
Yeah.
Well, and I know we're talking about Paul McGann, but the thing they did with Colin Baker in the audios was make him a better Doctor, a nicer Doctor, not quite...
a non-strangly Doctor.
A non-strangly Doctor, which I thought was a good thing.
And also in some of the front covers, he actually has his dark blue suit, which was what he was pushing until they were like, no, rainbows. You need more rainbows.
Yeah, you've got to look really 80s.
Yeah.
Because in the 80s, if your colours clashed, you were, you know...
You're a cool kid.
You were a cool kid. You were groovy, man.
So, shall we start by discussing the movie? Get that out of the way?
Right.
No, Nicchia does not look happy. To tell you what, I'm actually happy to talk about the movie just because it is so bad.
There are so many things about it to like, but like Eric Roberts as the Master.
As I've said to Nicchia multiple times in the last week since I saw it, it is perhaps the most 90s thing that ever 90s.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's almost like a nostalgic tribute to the 90s, isn't it? When you watch it. I was so excited because Doctor Who was back on. So I was nervous because it was Fox and because it was America.
Yeah.
And then Paul McGann came along and I really liked him. I thought he was amazing and I was very excited. And yes, it was very much of its era, but then I was living in the era at the time. So I don't think I really noticed. It's only when you go back and go, ooh, yeah, that's
so 90s.
That's not working.
Was it a big thing? Was everyone getting ready for like the return of Doctor Who?
Well, it was for me, but I mean, I was in the country on a farm by myself. I have no idea if anybody else was excited. I think my parents went, oh God, here we go. But I was thrilled to bits.
How did you feel about it at the time? Because I can't remember. I was a kid. I loved everything.
Look, I loved it. I know people got upset about the kissing. It didn't bother me. I just thought it was wonderful, except I didn't like Eric Roberts. Even as a kid, or even as a younger person, I didn't like him, and I didn't like...
Oh, you mean the Terminator Master?
Yeah. I just didn't like him. But I loved the TARDIS, and I loved seeing Sylvester McCoy come back.
It's my favourite.
Oh, yeah,
TARDIS.
Sylvester McCoy was great.
Yeah. And I liked the companion, Daphne. I thought she was really good, but it's just I've seen him later in is it With Nail and I or With Nail and I?
With Nail and I, yeah.
With Nail and I, which I really like. But I just fell in love with Paul McGann and
Absolutely.
thought
I think his Doctor is so charming and so fun.
Yeah.
And sweet.
Yes, absolutely. And like it's a thing I feel they really lean into in the audio plays is that side of his character. And after the whole kiss, it became a thing that he was the romantic Doctor.
Yes, I read that.
But in the audio plays, I never, even though he felt really sweet and stuff, I never felt like it was so romantic. Even when he and Charlie, at the end of her run, they end up saying, I love you to each other. It feels platonic and it felt fun.
Yeah.
He seemed childlike. Too childlike to have a sex drive.
Yeah, to me too. And even when he kissed her in the movie, it doesn't feel like a passionate kiss.
No, because he loves his shoes.
Yeah.
It
just
it's
feels like
so
an
random. Like they're just
kiss.
outside. Oh, that's the other thing is just things just randomly happen. They're like, he's like, let's go for a walk, and she's like, yes, okay, with this man she's just met, and then he's like kissing her, and she's like, do that again. Like, what is going on?
You've never been kissed by a random man in the park? You always want it to happen a second time, just in case.
Who has pulled a heart thing out of his stomach? Like.
I don't know. Paul McGann can kiss me a couple of times under a tree. I do.
He's a very
not
good-looking
mind.
Doctor.
He's very good looking, and also the things that I've seen him when he's done Q&As and things, and I've seen a couple with him, he just honestly seems like he is a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And as you know, Dave and I standing at the lift and he was there, and Dave just says g'day, and then we just chat away to him, and he was just so nice.
That's amazing. I'm so jealous.
Oh, look, we were so excited afterwards. I mean, at the time, my husband's just so calm about meeting people. Yeah, g'day, how are you? And we have this long conversation. So, yeah.
So the movie was developed as a co-production between BBC Worldwide, Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, and the Fox TV network.
Which may be the problem. Too many.
Too many cooks.
Yeah,
The budget was about $5 million, and America
Wow.
put in $2.5 million, and
Wow.
BBC put in the other $2.5 million. So
See, even though it was kind of America trying to get their foot into Doctor Who, I'm glad it wasn't a hard reboot. They were continuing the story.
yeah,
Yeah.
It was
They had considered a hard reboot.
I
There were
remember.
multiple stories where
would've gone
the Master
very
and the
badly.
Doctor were brothers, and they were searching for their father, who was a Time Lord explorer. Like
Yep.
it is. At one point, they wanted Tom Baker to be the Doctor who comes back instead of
God.
Oh, my
Sylvester McCoy.
Lord.
It was actually, I thought it was someone American, but it was someone at BBC argued, well, that's the Doctor that everyone knows, so let's have Tom Baker come back. And the guy who was producing was like, no, you can't do that. No one, it doesn't work in the continuity of the story.
No, people
Yeah.
just would ignore it.
Yeah, so they were pushing, the guy who was producing it was pushing for it to be a continuation of the TV series.
Well, I know that Paul McGann was very upset about the wig.
Yes,
he had
I was
to
going
wear.
to say, when the show was rebooted and there's Christopher Eccleston with a crew cut,
Yeah.
Paul McGann was like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Why did I wear a floofy cravat and a wig?
Well, see, when he auditioned for the part, he had long hair.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when he came back, he'd had it cut short
Yeah.
for an army movie, I think. And they said, no, we like the long hair. So he had to wear this stupid wig. And I was really glad when they brought him back for the Night of the Doctor.
He had the short hair.
He had the short hair. You know,
He's
that's
probably
what he
like,
needed.
oh, well, that's okay. Once we start doing the series, it'll grow back. What do you mean we're not doing a series,
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah, I know.
Why wouldn't it be picked up?
Yeah. Up till then, they had been pitching a series. So the Fox network committed to one TV movie with the possibility of a second TV movie, and if those did well, they were going to go ahead with it.
So did they not do well? I don't know.
In the UK, they did okay. So in the UK, they got 9.8 million viewers, but in the US, it only got 5.5 million viewers.
And they wanted to crack the US market, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which Doctor Who has now done.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
That
definitely.
was Stephen Moffat's whole push, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's worked. They've done that now. They've got the US on board. But they still treat it like it's not important because they take a whole year off.
Yeah, yeah, that's the issue, isn't it? That's the problem.
Oh,
you know,
it's frustrating. Anyway,
we thought it might have been because of Brexit, but they've already started work on it. So
yeah, they've already started filming. So
who knows?
The other thing about Paul McGann is that I really liked that he's always up for anything.
Yeah.
So when they did the Five-ish Doctors, when Peter Davidson did that, he got Paul McGann was happy to be included in that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they asked Tom Baker or they just thought he wouldn't do it. But I don't know if they knew he was actually in the 50th special when they did the Five-ish Doctors.
Right,
but have
yeah.
you watched the Five-ish Doctors?
I haven't
You
seen
have
it yet.
got to watch it. It's
Okay, I'll do
very,
that right now.
It's right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now. Pause.
Bugger off. It's very funny. It's very funny. Peter Davison did a really good job with it.
Oh, awesome. Back to Paul McGann. What traits about his Doctor really speak out to you? Is it maybe just because you saw him first, or is there something about his Doctor that you really enjoy?
I don't know, maybe it's because I always like an underdog. Because my favorite 007 is Timothy Dalton, so maybe that's
Yeah,
a...
which no one else liked.
No.
Is that the guy who did one movie and then...
No, he did two. You're
Okay.
thinking of the Australian
George
bloke.
Lazenby.
George Lazenby.
Oh, right,
He
yeah.
sucked.
Yeah.
I can
He
stand
just
by
straight
that.
out sucked.
Yeah, but Timothy Dalton, great 007, Paul McGann, great Doctor. I think it's because it's a lot of what people like about David Tennant, but I think he's more...
Without the shouty.
Without the shouty, yeah, exactly. Because I feel like when David Tennant gets into his... I don't like that, whereas Paul McGann is more fun. And the way Paul McGann treats his companions is much better than David Tennant. I'm looking at Martha.
Oh, yeah. Martha was criminally underused. Yeah.
It drove me crazy. I loved Martha.
Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that she chose to leave.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so rare for
Yeah,
a Doctor Who
yeah.
companion. That she chose. Same with Tegan. Tegan ended up choosing to leave.
Yeah.
Martha is Rose 2.0, basically.
Yeah, look, they really underused such a great character. I'd love to see her with Paul McGann's Doctor.
Oh, absolutely. That'd be great.
That would be a good mix. Yeah, Big Finish, get onto that, would you?
Have you looked into his companions? Specifically Charlie, who's my favorite companion. Don't
Oh,
get me wrong.
Charlie Pollard.
Yeah,
Charlie Pollard,
I've listened
I
to the
love
first 3 episodes with Charlie, yeah.
Cool. Spoiler alert for what ends up happening to her.
Okay.
When she leaves the Doctor thinking he's dead, she ends up teaming up with the 6th Doctor, and then she runs the rest of her course with the 6th Doctor.
Oh, she does too.
So she
That's
travels with the
right.
8th and then the 6th, which is very confusing for her, and the TARDIS tries to kill her because of it.
Yeah.
The TARDIS always has issues with Charlie.
Oh my god.
Well, she was supposed to die,
yeah,
wasn't
she was supposed to
Yeah.
die.
101.
101, yeah.
Yeah. I'm
And
trying to remember.
Essentially, that means she was the start of the Time War, because until then, Daleks weren't able to travel through time. Daleks never had access to time travel in the old series, but it was after Charlie Pollard's survival that they started playing with time travel, and then that just so happened there was a Time War. And because
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Poor
know
old Charlie.
if you know how Russell T Davies. Russell T Davies hates the audio plays and never
really?
never wanted anything to do with
Right.
it.
Really?
But it just so happened that all of this stuff that they had set up in the 9 years leading up to it happened to work out for the best, and then
Yeah.
they were able to tie everything together, and now they've got their Time War series.
Wow,
that's
I had
interesting.
no idea about that.
To be fair, so these are the first audio books that I've listened to at all, basically. I'm not a fan of audiobooks. I prefer reading books.
Oh, really?
Even though I don't have a lot of time
But
these
the
days to read
plays?
books.
Yeah, to be fair, these are audio plays.
Okay,
Yes.
audio plays, I say
Audiobooks.
audio plays, but I also, even reading books, I'm not a big fan of things that are based on TV shows.
Yeah.
I prefer to just watch the TV show and then all of that, because in my head it's like, well, all of that stuff kind of doesn't matter because it doesn't.
Oh,
you know,
really? No,
the
I-
TV show could say, oh, this doesn't happen. So I've never.
But The Night of the Doctor.
Yep.
Audio-
It's canon
audio
now.
I
plays are
agree.
canon.
I agree. But I have to say, listening to these 5 audio plays for this podcast, I've actually really enjoyed them, and I'm probably not at the speed that I've been listening to them in the past week to get ready for this episode. But I'm actually probably going to continue, listening to them and purchasing them and downloading them and stuff, because they were actually quite good. Some are better than others. I think in the first one, Storm Warning, there's at least 2 points where he goes, "Oh, Doctor, are you talking to yourself again?" And I was like, "No, don't do that. Don't if you."
Storm Warning was very early on.
Yeah.
They were still
But
like,
the rest of it was great. But it has that thing of like, you have to give it some leeway because it is an audio play. So people are going to describe everything that happens because you can't see anything. But the second people start going, "Oh, you're talking to yourself," it's like, no. Don't make fun of the fact that you have to describe everything, because we have accepted that you have to describe everything.
So Prisoner of the Sun, Prisoner of the Sun.
My favourite.
Storm
Warning,
Warning,
yep.
he starts off alone, which is why he's
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
that whole shtick. Whereas Prisoner of the Sun, he also spends a lot of his time alone. But by that point, obviously, he had learned
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of those mistakes.
Yeah.
Prisoner of the Sun is one of my favorite
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed listening to it again. And then Family Dimensions, I really enjoyed.
Yes.
It's sad, but I really enjoyed listening to that one again. And it's one, there are some that you can go back to. The ones with Molly.
Yep,
I've
yes.
listened to those a couple of times. Dark Eyes.
Dark
was it?
Eyes,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, I've
The
liked
other
those.
issue I have with the audio plays is that one bad actor can just be so terrible.
Oh, you can notice it in an audio
Yeah.
play,
Yeah,
can't
all
you?
all you've got is their voice. There's
Yeah.
there's no way they can hide behind anything else. It's just their voice. Like I listened to Stones of Venice. I was listening to it on the way here.
Yeah.
I know exactly which one you're
And
talking about.
Miss Lavish is
Yep.
absolutely terrible.
Oh, really?
And she's supposed to be like the main character, like one of the she's supposed to be the big reveal at the end. Which, spoiler alert, I knew it as soon as they said her full name. I was like, oh, well, she's the woman that they've all been looking
Yeah.
for. But she is terrible.
Oh, really?
There's a scene where they're supposed to be like she's shouting at a group of people who are like going crazy, and she's just doing it in a nice normal voice, like, "Hey, can all of you stop? I'm supposed to be looking after you all."
Your accent isn't awkwardly Italian enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
People have random
I
accents
haven't
in
heard
that,
that
one.
one.
It's,
That's the second one, I believe.
third
right?
one, yeah.
Third one. Did you listen to the War of the Worlds one?
No.
Invaders from Mars?
No.
That one, it sucks because it's got like Simon Pegg in it. The actors
Wow.
are high caliber, but they're all doing. It's like Daleks in New York, where everyone's doing really awkward New York accents.
Oh, no.
And when it's audio, it's one of my favorite audio plays just because it's such a fun concept. The idea is that during, not H.G. Wells, Orson Welles' radio broadcast of War of the Worlds, there happened to be an alien
actual
invasion going
I
on.
like
That's
that.
pretty
It's
crazy.
a really fun play idea on like what really happened in real. So it's like the sort of thing where you're like, oh, that could have really happened.
Yeah.
The Doctor is real. But
The Doctor is real, right?
Yeah, no, the Doctor's definitely
Oh,
real.
thank God.
And then there's just all this really awkward New York accent that I'm
Hey,
sorry,
I'm
Adam.
walking here. I'm walking here. Why does that guy keep saying he's walking there? Yeah, that's one of the other things with audiobooks is like they can't. There's nothing else to. So if someone is bad, it's like, oh, they are super bad.
And usually, because what I've found is usually they get really good actors and good voice actors. So I haven't heard one where I've not liked the voice. Like I liked the monk, and the monk was the guy from the Goodies.
Yeah.
Graham Gardner. And I was very excited about that. There was a bit of Goodies and Doctor Who all together.
Were they ever in the old show? Because that would have been amazing.
No, but they used to come on straight. Doctor Who came on straight after the Goodies when I was
wow.
a kid. So
we can pretend that they were on the show.
Yeah, they kind of were.
It was a sequel.
But it was really good to have the monk come back in,
Yeah.
and to have a few more Time Lords that were a bit different.
Don't get me wrong. I love the whole idea that there's no more Time Lords for the first 6 seasons of Doctor Who, the new series of Doctor Who. But I do miss meeting the different types of Time Lords.
Yeah. And Susan, there's still Susan out there.
Susan's out there somewhere.
See, Beck always laughs because I'm obsessed with Susan. Bring back Susan.
And that's the thing on the TV show. They've kind of got to make an excuse as to why they look older. But when they do the audiobooks, it's like, oh, we'll just do the audiobook.
Yeah.
And it's just a voice, you know,
Yeah.
old it up, young it up, it'd be fine.
Well, I know for the first Doctor audiobooks, they use his companion Ian does the voice of the first Doctor now.
Yeah.
With John Pertwee, I'm pretty sure his son.
Yeah,
now
Sean.
does.
Is it
Pertwee,
Sean
yeah.
or David? One of them. Yeah.
Pretty sure it's Sean because Sean's the one from Gotham. Right?
Yeah. So
Pretty
he
sure it's Sean.
does that
Nicholas
voice.
Briggs does the Ninth Doctor. He's done a couple.
Does he?
They've only done 2 audiobooks, and one he was narrating, but the other one he was actually the Ninth Doctor. Because obviously the Ninth Doctor isn't going to come back.
It'd be
and
so
do it.
nice
Yeah.
to get the Ninth Doctor.
Oh, it would be great.
Yeah.
But Nicholas Briggs is amazing.
Yeah,
Both
yeah.
as an actor and as a showrunner. I've been saying for years because
He'd be great to run the show.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
he's the main creative force behind Big Finish.
Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
one who's
Yeah.
like organizing the stories and everything. And I really think he should run this TV show.
Yeah, definitely.
It was specifically halfway through Stephen Moffat's run where I was like, oh, Nicholas Briggs did this sort of thing way better.
Yeah.
Come on.
And see, the thing with Paul McGann is because we've just seen him in The Night of the Doctor, he could come in. I mean, you could have a timey-wimey thing where Jodie meets Paul.
He doesn't look that bad for someone who, like, when was that movie
He's
released?
a little bit pretty, isn't he?
It's been 20 years since that movie.
Yeah,
he's
he's-
one of those actors that doesn't age.
No, he still looks good.
Oh, there was a Jonathan Creek special, I think, about 5 years ago, where both Lucy Miller and the Eighth Doctor were in
Yeah,
it.
that
I
was
like,
the Jonas Tree or something.
Yeah.
Judas Tree.
Judas Tree,
It
that's
was
it.
really good. I was very
wow.
excited.
that was so great to see Paul McGann, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
And Lucy.
And Lucy, together.
I know, and she's back in the audios too, isn't she?
Oh, is she?
I thought I read she was coming back to do a few more, that Paul McGann had said that, and it'd be great to have her back.
It's been a long time since I've listened to the Death of
Yeah.
London, but isn't she the Death of London?
Yeah, I think she's dead. But anyway, maybe they're going to do some
Timey-wimey.
prequel.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. It's all, or she could be the moment. Who knows?
Oh, the
Oh,
moment.
that was lame. I'm sorry. I didn't.
Because they built that up, didn't they? They're
They're
like,
like,
oh my
Rose.
god, Rose is coming back, and then
Yeah.
it's like Rose is the personification of the moment. It's like,
I know.
I didn't want Rose to come back anyway.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
yeah.
Are you over Rose?
I was
They closed
over
up
Rose
Rose's story.
after season 1. I was like, oh, okay, now he's pretty, and now she really likes him.
Yeah.
Okay, and then she already came back for season 4. I was cool with that. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, no, that's fine. That was a good tying off of that story, and it was
Yeah.
good tying off Russell T Davies' run. Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
yeah.
See, bring
yeah, I
Martha
wouldn't-
back. I
Bring
would.
Martha
Yeah,
back
yeah,
for
definitely.
sure.
But then you'd have to bring Mickey back.
They could have broken up. Who knows?
Yes.
We can be hopeful.
Mickey was
Martha
useless.
could have been the moment. Why not?
That would have been great because of the way he treated Martha.
Yeah.
It would be like, that's a regret, the
Yeah.
way he treated
Yeah.
Martha.
Yeah.
There you go.
So she should just blow him up. Really. I should never come to podcast drunk. I don't know why I do.
Well, it's Straya Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
we
Straya
should,
Day.
we should all be having VB long necks.
Oh,
It's really
please.
unfortunate that we're all all not drunk. It's the least Australian thing you could be doing today.
Exactly.
And talking about a British program. What are we doing, guys?
Yeah,
What are
It's
we
not
doing?
very Australian, but we are taking a day off, so
That's true, yeah.
that's very
I
Australian.
thought you were talking about the show. I was like, a lot of Australians have worked on the show.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Quite a few, and we don't get enough praise for it, I think. There should be a lot more of yay.
The Australian creative behind it.
Yeah.
Aussie.
Also, Tegan. Never forget
Exactly.
Tegan. I love Tegan.
I did too. I
and-
particularly liked her because she was not impressed by the Doctor.
Exactly. And I think my wife didn't like her because of that. She was like, no, she's annoying. And I was like, no, she's great.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause that's also what I liked about Donna, is the fact that Donna had attitude.
Yeah,
Tegan
yeah.
had attitude.
She called him out on his
Yeah.
bullshit. I always liked that.
Has there ever been an episode set in Brisbane? Or an audio book?
There was an
Wasn't
audio.
that specifically the... oh, actually, yeah, you're right. There was an audio.
Yeah, there was an audio set in Brisbane.
Oh, that'd be
with the
in
Fifth
Brisbane.
Doctor and
oh, wow.
Tegan.
We
Yeah.
should do that one. I was just imagining the Doctor getting out and going, "Hello, I'm the Doctor. How's everything? Oh, yeah, how's it going, mate?
Yeah.
What do you do? What's that thing you've got there? You can't park there, mate. That's a
Jeez.
loading zone.
What's that big blue bloody box doing here?
I'll tell you what, crack one open with us. It's Australia Day, mate.
We want to do the Australian
Doctor Who.
all Doctor Who.
Yeah.
All Australian Doctor Who. I'm cool with that, yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
does that mean the Doctor would be Australian as well?
Yeah, geez, mate, of course he would. Crikey.
Yeah.
I mean, Struth.
Who would play the Australian Doctor?
Brian Brown.
Isn't he,
Oh, okay.
hasn't he passed away?
No. Oh, I don't think so. I
don't know.
Hello, Brian. I hope you're okay.
Oh God! If it was a couple of years ago, it would be Geoffrey Rush, but not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
No, we
Ooh.
need somebody with a really strong Australian accent to do it, like Hoags.
Oh God, no, no way.
Throw a shrimp on the... Not that anyone in Australia says shrimp, by the way.
Well,
Yeah, oh, that's
We
always
say throw-
annoyed
But
me
he wouldn't
ever
pay-
since I was a kid.
but if he did it, he wouldn't pay any taxes. So you know.
Oh, well, good
Would
on
we
him.
want an Australian female Doctor? Who would be a good... I think Nicchia, obviously.
Yes, obviously, I'd be bloody fantastic.
Yeah.
Bombs of beauty.
And you got that little bit of Britishness as well, so you'd be
There
a
you
good
go.
easing
Yeah,
in.
could sort
go.
of ease everybody into it.
Okay, so we've
Hello,
settled
I'm
on
the
you,
Doctor.
and I'll be your assistant. Hello, Nicchia. Can I help you with anything?
I don't want you as my assistant. I want Bjork.
Hello. You have mentioned my name, and I have appeared as I always do when you mention my name.
I love you, Bjork, and I want you to be my companion.
You want me to be your companion?
Yes.
I
did this
feel,
to yourself.
I feel so happy.
But it's oh so quiet.
Oh, so quiet. I could make it loud in the TARDIS.
Oh, maybe you should go back to Iceland, I think. Or Greenland, or whatever.
No, don't. I am
The Netherlands.
enemies with Greenland. They can fuck off. I will go back to Iceland and await your command.
I'll come grab you, okay?
Do you get this reference at all?
I mean, I know who Bjork is. I know,
You know who
how
I
she
am?
sings.
That's fantastic.
I don't know why she has enemies in Greenland. That's lost
Because
me.
I am from Iceland.
And she hates Greenland.
Oh, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
In my mind, we are always at war with Greenland.
I'm gonna mute your microphone in a second.
What are you talking about?
All right, Bjork, well, it's time to go. I'll come pick you up
Let
later.
me get into my Bjork boat, and I will go now.
I am very impressed that Bjork not only appeared here in this closed room,
That's
but
right.
she appeared with a boat.
That's why
She-
my boat is outside.
Oh.
You
Yeah.
stupid man.
My bad.
Yeah,
Sorry, Bjork.
I don't.
Because
That's
I-
okay.
I've
I just
gotta
get
say, here-
cranky sometimes.
Here in the suburbs, there's a lot of ocean water. Can't you hear it just lapping at the...
That's right. If you listen with your ears, the sound is always lapping like the wind. I mean, the water is what we were talking about. All right,
I don't
back
want
to
to
my
talk
Bjork
about
boat.
your wind. Bye-bye.
Back to my Bjork boat.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Bjork.
Oh, guys. Yeah.
Adam, you missed it. Bjork was here. It was crazy.
Why does she always turn up when I'm not here?
Every time you go to the toilet, there
I
she
am
comes.
the
She
biggest
comes.
Bjork fan.
Oh,
That
well.
sucks.
She's never here, but she's keen to be in the Australian version of Doctor Who.
I thought I was what the companion.
She's going to be the companion,
Well,
yeah.
I was going to be
No,
the companion.
You can have more than one companion.
Well,
Yeah.
I can.
the
That's
cruise.
Then we would have me and Bjork in the same room, and no one could ever say that we were the same
You
person.
know it'll never happen. It'll never happen.
It'd be a bit more musical if we had Bjork.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, well, Adam wants our podcast to be more musical.
So we make
When
a
is there
musical.
going to be a Doctor Who musical
Yeah, exactly.
episode?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
they had the perfect opportunity with Peter Capaldi, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't do it.
Did I suggest you listen to Scherzo? I don't know how to pronounce that word.
I believe you suggested quite a few of them.
Yeah, I did.
And
There's quite a few I like.
listened to Storm Warning, and then
Yeah.
I listened to Chimes of Midnight and Prisoner of the Sun, and I was like, oh, actually, I'm actually quite enjoying these a lot. So that's why I went back and just started from the start.
So I've got a question. This is your first introduction, Adam, to
Yeah.
Paul McGann. What do you think, or is it McGann? I never know.
I've always assumed MGann.
yeah, that's very
Double
Australian,
M.
McGann.
Again.
And his children are Jan, Fran, and Stan McGann. Very Australian. What do you think of the Eighth Doctor?
So we've established I hated the TV movie, and it's not anything to do with Paul McGann. Paul McGann is I like his portrayal of the Doctor. The stuff that's wrong with it is the writing and the special effects and the
For the
pushing it
TV movie.
Yeah, the TV movie.
Yeah.
And that's why when I was listening to the audiobooks, it's like, oh, actually, he's a really good Doctor, because those books are a lot more interesting. He's a different portrayal to your David Tennant, your Christopher Eccleston, and all
Matt
of those
Smith and everybody,
yes,
really.
modern Doctors. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm planning on listening to as many of the audiobooks as I can.
I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, so you've got me hooked. So
And
Good.
that's
his,
another
all
thing I
I've
have to
wanted.
do.
his
Jesus.
novels are good too.
Yeah, his
I've
novels
read
are
quite
really
a few
great.
of those, and they're really good too. But I love the audio plays because you get to hear the voices, and you can you feel like you have a film going on in your head while you're watching it. So I enjoy
Yeah,
that.
no.
I generally listen to them while I'm walking my dog or driving because
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
drive
do when I'm
for
driving,
a living.
yeah.
And yeah, it's great because it just makes the drive so much better to have Paul McGann in the car with you.
Yeah, I know.
Love it. The comics are also really great because I
Yep.
believe at one point he actually ends up traveling with Frobisher. Have you guys covered Colin Baker?
Oh, he's the
and Frobisher?
penguin?
He's the penguin.
I have heard of him. Yes.
He's my favorite companion other than Charlie, just because you can't beat a penguin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I think Charlie has the best story and I think her relationship with the Doctor is great.
So
she's
do you
not a
think it's
penguin.
better than his relationship with Lucy and the Doctor's relationship?
I do, but I would never argue with anyone who prefers Lucy
Yeah.
because I totally see why.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think Lucy is a great companion. I think the way they play off each other,
Their chemistry is
their
amazing.
chemistry is fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Whereas I found Charlie is very fun and they're very caring of each other.
Yeah.
Whereas Lucy's more playful.
She's more Donna,
Yeah,
isn't she?
she is more
Yeah,
Donna.
yeah.
Which I can totally
Which
get why
probably
people would
why
prefer
I
Lucy.
like her, yeah.
I find it interesting at the end of Storm Warning when the Doctor's going like, "Oh, maybe I should put Charlie back in the R101 because she's supposed to die."
Yeah.
And she comes back and she's like, "Ramsay likes me. Let's go." And he's like, "Oh well, I suppose I won't kill you then." It's like, whoa.
Don't worry. There's a whole story arc about the ramifications of not killing Charlie.
Yeah, I assume
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
And that all ends up being...
Well, Chimes of Midnight is basically because.
Well, that's why I said you
doesn't
have to
die.
listen to Storm Warning first.
Yeah.
Because Chimes of Midnight is a great
Yeah.
episode. But if you don't understand why Charlie's the way she is,
Yeah.
it's not going to make any sense.
It's super dark though. Oh, my
yeah.
god, that's something I really enjoyed. Is that it's probably
It's
a
more
darker
adult.
tone. Yeah, it's a darker tone than what they would do on the TV show.
Yeah.
Also,
'Cause you
can
would-
I say, best Christmas special ever? Just putting it out there.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if it actually came out around Christmas,
Yeah.
but it is a Christmas
Oh no,
based
it was.
episode.
I read something.
Oh,
Yeah, because
awesome.
it was Christmas themed. They released it just before Christmas.
That's great. That's a really great episode.
Yeah.
The Christmas specials are very weird for me because either they're not Christmassy enough
Or
or
they're
they're
too-
too Christmassy or they're trying to be too Christmassy and failing hard. Like, I love David Tennant's Regeneration, but they were spinning Christmas trees. They're the bad guys.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed that. So, how did you get into the audiobooks? Was it through?
Well,
did you
was-
like Paul McGann as the Doctor before you got into the audiobooks?
Paul McGann was always the one I thought of when I thought of the
Right,
Doctor.
okay,
And I'm
right.
as I said, I'm pretty sure it's because it may have been the first one I actually saw and made an event of.
And then did that get you into the audiobooks, or you just kind
Definitely.
of stumbled?
I started with Paul McGann's ones, and then I also got a Colin Baker one at the same time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you said.
And then
before, yeah.
I ended up finding out later that they both share Charlie Pollard as a companion. So I was like, well, that's another reason to listen to more Colin Baker ones. Yeah, I got right into the Paul McGann ones. And at the time that I got into them, I had like a full-time job. So I was buying every episode there was.
Yeah.
I went through the whole run of Charlie's series and then through Dark Eyes and through the series with Lucy.
Yeah.
And I just consumed them. I end up going back and listening to like a few key episodes every now and then. Scherzo, which is the only one that I think really takes advantage of the fact that it is an audio play. The Doctor and Charlie end up in a universe. Nothing exists really.
Yeah.
So there is nothing but them and sound.
Wow.
They can't see anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that the fact that you can't see anything comes a part of the story.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best episode ever, but I think the fact that they used audio play as a medium and a story device really worked.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it took me a while to find them. So I found the novels, and it took me a while to find Big Finish, and I just kind of stumbled upon it and went, "Oh my god, there's a whole other world that I don't know about."
Actually, I just realized the amount of comics I read growing up. It was probably the comics that made me always think of Paul McGann.
Yeah.
Because at that
right.
point, it was
Yeah.
always Paul McGann as the...
Yeah, I was reading Archie comics. What would I know?
So you always think of Archie as your doctor?
Yeah, Archie and Superman. They're my doctor.
So look, in the early 90s, the BBC asked Verity Lambert for her opinion on what to do to get the show back up and running, because BBC had never officially cancelled the show.
Yeah.
They had basically just stopped producing episodes. And they were kind of hoping that just other production company would start producing episodes. Even as early as like Sylvester McCoy's last season, they were looking at other companies to try and produce other episodes.
They really don't value it.
No, Sylvester McCoy's end series really got cheap because of that.
Yeah. They'd already
know.
started production on the
Survival
series after
was
that,
terrible.
and you know, I think they've turned that into audio plays as well.
Survival, that's it. It was terrible.
That was why the Master has cat eyes in
Cheetah
the movie.
eyes.
But that's
Yeah.
what I didn't understand. I was like, is that because of the thing? And then I read in something
Yeah.
that he has the cat eyes, and I was like, great for continuity, but terrible for the look of the actual thing. Because he does the cat eyes, and he's like, I thought that's how he's hypnotizing people, you know? But no, I don't know.
No, he was always good at hypnosis, the Master.
Yeah.
And shrinking people.
And disguises. Never forget disguises.
He was always very good at disguises.
Oh, and when he comes out of the box that he's been put in,
The slime.
and it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Did the Master turn into Alex Mack from the TV show Alex Mack?
Why did the Daleks execute? Why were they working with the
Yeah,
Daleks to
yeah,
execute the
Yeah,
Master?
I've never understood that.
They've tried to like retcon it by saying that the Time Lords and the Daleks had a treaty at the time, and part of that treaty was allowing them to execute the Master.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. They would never have a treaty. You could never, ever have a treaty with a Dalek.
No, that's what the Daleks... That's the...
Yeah.
Just the New Year's Eve special was all about how Dalek equal
But they
bad.
wanted to have a reference to the Dalek without paying for the Daleks, I think. So you couldn't show the Daleks, you could just have the voice of the Daleks.
Was
Crazy.
it played by Nicholas Briggs, perchance?
I don't know.
Because I know Nicholas Briggs is the Daleks in
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of the new seasons. I don't know if he was in 1996.
Yeah,
I don't know either. I'd have to check that. For me, it's always been him.
Yeah, same.
Even from when I was watching as a kid, I'm sure it
How
wasn't him.
old is Nicholas
Yeah.
Briggs?
Yeah.
Golly.
He is a Time Lord,
He's
so
200
yeah.
years old. It sounds flawless. That's always what the Daleks sound like to me.
But in the early 90s, the BBC asked Verity Lambert, obviously the first producer of the
yes.
series, for her opinion. They'd done something similar just before Sylvester McCoy's season. They asked Sidney Newman what they should do for the show. Anyway, in the early 90s, they asked Verity Lambert, and she suggested that the Doctor should be Peter Cook. Which would have been very good, but unfortunately he died in 1995.
Yeah.
So if they had started a new series with him in it, it wouldn't have lasted very
we
long.
would have regenerated fairly quickly.
Yes.
I mean, so did
like
Peter...
Peter Cook.
not Peter Davison, sorry.
Oh my God, is this something we haven't heard of
No,
yet? It's,
Roger Delgado, the
Oh,
original
yeah, the
master.
Master.
Yeah, he was...
He killed in a car accident, I think. And they were never going to bring the master back.
Oh, yes.
And they did.
And when Colin Baker regenerated,
Yeah.
just put Sylvester McCoy in a wig, it's fine.
Yeah,
Well, he was
even
pissed
though
off
it's
at them.
much smaller.
Much smaller.
And, ridiculous.
So these are some of the people who auditioned for the movie. Rowan Atkinson, he was obviously in The Curse of Fatal Death. Anthony Head, who some people might recognise from
Buffy.
Yep. Rick Mayall.
Oh, really?
I love Rick Mayall. He would not have been a good doctor.
No.
He would have been
no.
good in The Curse of Fatal Death.
Oh, he
but
would have been, yeah.
A comedian, John Sessions, who I know mostly from his work on Stella Street, where he plays like 20 different celebrities.
Okay. Yeah.
And Mark McGann.
Mark McGann.
Yeah, older brother of Paul McGann.
Really?
Ooh. How great would it be if they accidentally cast the wrong person? It was always meant to be
We
Mark
really
McGann.
wanted Mark, and we got
Yeah.
Paul, and it's a bit embarrassing.
Just put a wig on him, it'll be fine.
Or they go and see it, and he's like, gee, I'm glad I'm not in that piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Oh, really? Really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
no, I didn't know that either.
I
I
always
didn't know.
thought Rowan Atkinson would have been a good doctor.
He still would be a great doctor because
Yeah.
the man is ageless.
Yeah, true.
We have the Curse of the Fatal Death to see what his
Yes,
doctor would have
yes,
been
yes.
like, and it is a great doctor.
And-
Hopefully he wouldn't play it as Mr. Bean and be like,
And Richard
TARDIS.
E. Grant.
Yeah,
I always thought, even though he's been in now.
Technically, he's been the Doctor in the Scream of the Shauka,
Yeah,
which
I
is
know.
the original Ninth Doctor.
I loved him in The Curse of Fatal Death.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I just think he would have been a great doctor.
He
He's just-
really would have been.
He's so good.
When they brought him back, because during Stephen Moffat's run, and the Doctor was going to die, they had his death place and everything, I immediately thought, oh my god, it's the Valyard. The Valyard is the only one who specifically gets something out of the Doctor's death.
Yeah.
He gets life. And, I always had these theories, and then as soon as they said Richard E. Grant's coming in, and he's going to be the big bad, and I was like, Richard E. Grant is literally a Doctor who wasn't the Doctor. He's
Yeah.
been the Doctor, and it
Yeah.
was taken away from him.
He could be the
That would be
Valyard.
the perfect casting for the Valyard.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh no, it's just a bunch of people in there. TARDIS.
Yeah. Well, he's the great intelligence, which was around in the second Doctor, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
But underused.
Yeah,
Really,
really
Yeah, just an
really
episode,
underused,
yeah,
I thought.
yeah.
I think he could have been a better baddie, but
oh,
anyway.
there's always the audiobooks. We could have him as the Valyard. I haven't really used the Valyard. They've done the last...
The trial of the
technical
Doctor.
last regeneration. There was air quotes there.
But now they've got another 13.
yeah, so
regeneration.
maybe he's the last.
Valyard can come back.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't like him. He can go away. I like the Doctor, and I didn't like the Valyard.
I like the Valyard as a villain.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want the Valyard to win.
No,
Yeah,
no,
obviously.
me either.
So in 2016, Paul McGann is stated as saying, people say it's a shame that it never went to a series, and I go, okay, well, let's just take a minute to imagine that it had. How much do you like Matt Smith and David Tennant? They might never have happened if there'd been some other history, so you've got to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
quite lovely.
I think that's really lovely of him to say, but also he's made a career out of it.
Yeah.
Just by doing the audios and not the punishing schedule of
Yeah.
actually being in Doctor Who series.
Exactly. And the fact that we're able to have him doing his thing, and we still have
Yeah.
Doctor Who, we still have Matt Smith, we still have Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
We got the best of both worlds, I think. And we still get to hear his dulcet tones when Paul McGann, when he's narrating a doco or...
Yeah, he's got a very...
it's a lovely voice.
Well, some of us like his voice better than others, apparently.
I'm with Nicchia here.
After The Night of the Doctor was released, a petition was raised on change.org asking the BBC to produce a spin-off series featuring Paul McGann's Eighth Doctor. The petition ended up with over 20,000 signatures.
Wow.
Including that of Paul McGann himself.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, so he signed it too. That's pretty cool.
I'd love them to have done that. I mean, wouldn't it
Absolutely,
be
yeah.
great to do that while we're having this break with
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jodie's
Yeah,
Doctor?
yeah.
And we can have a good spin-off instead of Class.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
Hey.
Yeah.
I remembered the thing I was meant to say at the
Oh,
start.
yes, go
Oh,
for
what
it.
was that?
They redid... what's the...
Oh, so not completely
No,
remembered.
it didn't. Yeah, it was there. Hitchhiker's Guide. Douglas Adams.
Oh,
yes.
What was the episode they were writing that it didn't end up not getting made?
Not the City of Death. The
Sharda.
Sharda.
Sharda. Yes, Sharda. Yeah, they ended up very early on in Big Finish. They ended up doing Sharda, and then they ended up doing a flash animation of the whole thing. And the whole plot is the Doctor goes to meet Romana, and it's the Eighth Doctor, and he's like, "Hey, Romana, remember that time we were in Venice? What were we doing there? Let's go find out." And then they go back because the only time you ever see that footage from Sharda
Yeah.
was in the Five Doctors.
Yeah,
So essentially,
yeah.
the idea was Sharda was going to happen, but then he got time scooped,
Yeah.
and the Five Doctors happened instead. So now he's like, "Let's go find out what it is." And then it's just Sharda, but with the Eighth Doctor. And that was great, and I watched the flash animation of it as well as the audio play. And then they've gone, and now they've got the footage of the original. They've released Sharda a few times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have.
Like, I have they done the flash animation of it? I know the one I saw was the scenes that they shot plus
Yeah.
Tom Baker telling us what happened.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You've seen that one as well, yeah. I feel like they did another thing recently.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah, I think
did
they released
too.
it on DVD.
Yeah, they released it on DVD, and I feel like they did flash animation to
Yeah.
do the
I
scenes they
haven't
didn't
actually
shoot.
seen it, so.
But I haven't seen it either, because, in my head, the Eighth Doctor did Sharda now, and also I have Dirk Gently because Sharda never happened, so it's okay.
Yeah.
No, I had listened to the audio play with Sharda with the Eighth Doctor, and I really liked it.
The Eighth Doctor with Romana was fantastic.
Oh, no, bring Romana back too.
Actually, yeah, why haven't they brought Romana?
Is
Bring
Romana
back.
Romana the one that Tom Baker was dating?
Yeah, they married
Oh, right.
in real life,
Yeah.
yeah, for a while. And then she married Richard Dawkins. Dawkins. She's
Oh,
still
the
married to
atheist,
Richard
yeah.
Dawkins, I believe.
It's very similar to
Her
the
name is
Doctor.
Lala Ward.
Yeah, Lala Ward.
Yeah.
Her and Tom Baker did a whole bunch of computer ads.
Yeah,
in the
they
80s.
did.
Oh,
with
what?
K9.
Yeah, they are so terrible.
Oh, I
IBM.
need to watch them. Are they as good as the Friends TV ads from the 90s where they're like, where it's Monica and Chandler and they're like, let's find out how to use the internet.
Oh,
Pretty
no,
much. It's like
yeah.
they've got this giant computer sitting on a desk and they're like, that's right, I have all the computing power in the world at my fingertips.
They're
These
quite-
aliens all want to get a hold of my brilliant, amazing, super fast computer. And it's a giant, it's a chest of a thing.
I love it. I need to see it.
Oh, it's so hilarious.
They're very good. They're very good.
What's your favourite Eighth Doctor moment?
My favorite Eighth Doctor moment is probably the end of Charlie Pollard's story.
Okay.
Because it's a very bittersweet. I feel like it's the sort of thing Stephen Moffat was always trying to do and then undoing and then redoing and then
Yeah.
he finally
Yeah.
settled
Yeah.
on it and it sucked because I didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
I already said goodbye to Amy and Rory 5
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
Nicchia, some of us don't like Peter Moffat. That's
Peter
Stephen,
Moffat.
Stephen Moffat. God
I
damn
think
it, I can get
Stephen-
no
I
references.
still like Stephen.
Stephen Moffat is a great standalone writer.
Yeah.
He's written some
Yeah.
of the best episodes.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And season 5 and 6 of Doctor Who were great until I realized he was pulling a Damon Lindelof and didn't actually have a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when it came to like paying off that plan, it all fell apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the trouble. We didn't get the payoff. But he's a great writer, and he's a great standalone writer.
He's a great ideas man. I think
Yeah.
the ideas he came up with for
Fabulous.
mysteries were great. He just needs someone else to write those.
But that's the thing I've said to Nicchia. Oh, I don't like Stephen Moffat, but I like this episode, and I like this episode, and
Yeah.
I like this episode.
Yeah.
Because, he is good at writing single episodes, you know.
Yeah, I thought he would have more of a story plan for his and
for Matt Smith.
yeah,
particularly.
yeah, and it sort of did, and then he didn't.
Yeah. So, is there any moment for Paul McGann that it was your least favourite moment where you felt like this doesn't feel like the Eighth Doctor to me?
Oh, good question. I just love the Eighth Doctor so much. I can't think of one. Even like the episodes I don't really like. Like I'm not a huge fan of Tamsin, but that's not the Eighth Doctor's fault.
No, she was an awful companion.
Yeah, I love their first episode together, the one where it's a job interview.
Situation vacant.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Oh
really
my god,
enjoyed
it's
that.
great. Someone puts out a
Isn't it the monk in the end who
Yeah.
puts the
Oh,
ad
was
out?
it the monk? I can't.
Or
and
the
I
master? I
was
can't
definitely a
remember.
Time Lord, and I don't think it was the master.
What, to bring them
Can't
together?
remember.
They
I
put
thought it was
out
the monk.
a job interview, a position vacancy in the newspaper about being the Doctor's companion.
Yeah,
Oh.
and people apply.
And like the first half of the episode plays it like the Doctor was doing it, and then you find out halfway through the Doctor was like, "No, I saw it as well," and was like, "What?" So I decided to come along.
Yeah, yeah,
Really
It's sort
good.
of like Missy getting Clara and Matt Smith together.
yeah,
Yeah. And a part I don't like. Oh wait, it's obvious. Ugh.
What?
In the movie when he said he was half human on his mother's
Oh,
side.
yeah.
I mean, it's obvious.
They've tried to retcon that. Like, people who've written about it have said he loves the human race so much that at one point he claimed he was half human.
Yeah.
When they introduced the stopwatch that the 10th Doctor used,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they ended up using, he half used that. The moment that thing came in, people were like, yeah, cool, he can be half human.
Yeah.
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 And it was okay because he was kind of like, he kind of brushed it off. He is like, oh, this is my secret, I'm half human. But then later in the movie, the Master goes, you're half human. Come on down, Doctor.
That's too much energy for Eric
Yeah.
Roberts.
Yeah, the Master's a dickhead anyway, really.
Yeah.
Just in general.
That last, 20 minutes of that movie is just, what the hell is going
oh,
on?
I
It's
know.
Clockwork Oranging itself.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Oh, and when the TARDIS brings those two dead companions back to life, I was like, nope, I'm done.
yeah, yeah.
I'm done.
Well, just anyone thinking that Eric Roberts would be a great master is just beyond me. Just beyond me.
I am going to have to Google this, but I'm relatively sure Big Finish has recently done an Eric Roberts Master
Yeah.
episode. Because they did The Masters, where it's Missy,
Oh, yes,
it's
yeah.
John Sims, it's every Master possible.
Yeah, they've brought him back.
including Eric Roberts.
I know.
They do a series where it's different masters against Riversong as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, because Missy's gone up against Riversong in the most recent one, hasn't she?
Oh my God, I've
so
got to
excited
listen
about
to that.
Yeah,
I've
that would
gotta
be
listen
awesome.
To that.
Yeah, so I think we all love the audio plays now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So, what are your recommendations if anyone's listening to this and
Yes.
they go, "I really want to get into it"? What's the first thing you would tell them to listen?
First of all, do you recommend them watching the TV movie?
Yes. If just because you get to meet the Eighth Doctor, you get to see the sort of Doctor he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
They
All
do
right.
bring in a few things from the movie and the audio plays, like the fact that he's regenerated while Frankenstein's playing, and then Mary Shelley ends up being, I think, his first companion or his second companion.
Yeah, I remember she was with him, but I don't know what order.
Yeah, because he had those two companions right before Charlie, and I can't remember if they were before or after Mary Shelley. So there are like a few things. I do think you should watch. Also, there's the great gag where the police are chasing him and he opens the TARDIS door and it drives in. You just hear it go in.
Yes.
And then it comes out.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really great small moments in that movie, and most of them have to do with Paul McGann. So I do suggest watch the 1996 movie, take it with a grain of salt, and then get into the audio plays because they are great. I do advise you start with Storm Warning so you get introduced to Charlie Pollard because so much of Charlie Pollard has to do with that. Obviously, Champs of Midnight, that's a big one.
That one as well.
So Zagreus is the big like coming together of everything that was Charlie Pollard. It has the other other three doctors who were doing Big Finish at the time. So Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy, and Colin Baker all appear in this massive event, but they don't play the Doctor because the entire story is technically based inside the TARDIS.
Right.
It'll make sense once you get to that point.
Okay.
At that point,
And what's that one called?
So that's Zagreus. That was the 50th episode, I believe.
Oh, okay.
It was a big event. You do have to listen to everything 8th Doctor related to get to that point, though.
Yeah.
Seasons of Fear is a really great episode that I feel like they tried to remake recently, where it was the Doctor meets a person who says, I just saw you die, haha, you're my worst enemy, and I've just killed you. And then he goes off, and then the Doctor's like, well, what was that about?
Yeah.
Let's find out. And, it's A Christmas Carol. Christmas Carol is the one that I feel like steals a lot from this episode.
Yeah.
Seasons of Fear does it much, much better. Then, after Zagreus, there's a lot of time in this anti-time universe, which is very confusing. So, that's where you meet Keriz. There is one episode I would advise no one to listen to.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called right now, but it is the classic sci-fi episode that every sci-fi thing does, which is the 1984 episode. Where it goes, we live in a 1984 universe, and it's so boring, and every sci-fi film, TV show does this trope. Just miss that episode. It's really annoying. I'm going to tell you the spoiler right now. The twist at the end is the Doctor was never there. He was a bug.
That's a bit. I didn't particularly like that. Is it Keriz? I never know what his name was. I never really liked him because he kind of left and then he was a clone and then I got really confused, so I dropped off and I just went to Lucy.
Keriz always just feels like he's there. I think Keriz in Absolution, which is the second last episode of Charlie Pollard's run, Keriz has a great swan song, a great goodbye. It's fantastic. And then especially because then you've got Charlie's swan song right after, and it's like, it hits you hard, and they're great, but I don't think Keriz is a great companion. Then you've got the Lucy Miller series, and there are so many, I can't think of a bad episode in that run.
No, I've listened to a lot of the Lucy Miller, and I've never got one and thought, that was disappointing.
Yeah.
What a waste of my time. They're always really good.
What's the glam rock? It's like Murder at Glam Rock or something like that.
Yeah.
That is such a fun episode. Sorry, much earlier on, Invaders of Mars. A lot of people don't like it because of the acting, but it's such a fun concept.
Okay.
Definitely listen to Invaders of Mars. Prisoner of the Sun.
Oh, yeah.
Prisoner of the Sun is the one where you can just drop in. You don't really need to know everything. And
good.
because I listened to it first, and then I ended up listening to the Lucy Miller ones, I was like, now I get the whole Lucy Miller references.
Yeah, because they do make reference to, because I'd known that he had a companion named Lucy Miller, and they make reference to that in that, because obviously the android gets her voice, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting that they've got a companion to do the voice of an android.
Yeah.
I think you're saying basically if you want to just jump straight in, do Storm Warning or Prisoner of the Sun.
Yep.
If you do Storm Warning, then you can jump straight to Charms of Midnight.
Yep.
And if you like
and
those,
keep going.
give it a go.
Absolutely. And you can do so there's the main Big Finish run, which is the Charlie Pollard series, and then there's the New Adventures, which was the Lucy Miller, Tamsin Drew. You can listen to them completely separately. There's no continuity that really overlaps. You can listen. So if you want to start with them, I strongly suggest it. It's very much like New Who, whereas the other series is more like Old Who.
Yep.
Yeah.
Start with them, go through those. There's four seasons. I think it's 9 or 10 episodes each, and then go and listen to the Charlie Pollard ones.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to have to listen to the Charlie ones because I got really stuck into the Lucy Miller ones, and so I'm a big fan of Lucy.
This has been a very interesting episode. I knew nothing about Paul McGann coming into this. I knew that the movie was hated, and when I watched the movie, I could see why. So I thought, okay, well, we'll talk about this Paul McGann, and I didn't realise I was going to like him as much as I did.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad I've been able to get other people into the audio plays, because when I was going through them, I knew literally no one. So I would listen to my car and be able to speak to no one about it.
Yeah.
Really upsetting.
Yeah, which is really tough, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
I was like that. When I got into it, I didn't have anyone in my life who was particularly interested.
Yeah, when I got
in
into the TV
Doctor
show,
Who.
I had no one to talk to about
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I used to go onto forums and be like, this is what I didn't like about the episode. And now I think back to that and be like, oh, God, I was
So
a prick.
lame.
The bloody nerd.
I'm glad that my wife is into Doctor Who, so when we watch the TV series, we're able to unpack everything together.
Oh, that's
It's
awesome.
really great. She doesn't like the audio plays, though, so...
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
That's a lone venture for me.
Oh, no.
Well, my husband had no choice. He had to become a Whovian. But it's good now because we watch it together. I don't tell him that I sometimes watch them before he does.
That's upset, because me and my wife, I was living in Darwin when I believe season 6 was happening.
Yeah.
And we would have to wait, and then we would Skype each other and watch it together.
Yeah.
Because she was living in Brisbane, I was living in Darwin. It was worth the wait to
adorable.
watch it with her. I would go to a video store to use their internet so I could watch Doctor Who with my wife.
That is so sweet.
That's adorable. Are you Paul McGann? Are you the 8th Doctor?
I might be.
You're the romantic one.
I did have a costume. I've only cosplayed as 2 doctors, Paul McGann and Colin Baker. My Paul McGann one, though, was very esoteric that no one understood. Back in 2010 at a New Zealand, like, supernova-style nerd convention, he released the new 8th Doctor's outfit, which ended up becoming canon when Dark Eyes came out, but at the time, no one did. It was a long leather jacket, like a leather
loved it.
trench coat.
Short hair.
Short hair, which was a big thing, and his Sonic is awesome.
I saw a
love
picture of the Sonic screwdriver.
his
It's
new
so
Sonic.
cool. Made by Weta.
Yes, made by Weta Digital. Oh, design, sorry. And yeah, so I went to the next Supernova dressed as that Doctor, and no one knew who the hell I was. I like kind of combined his old costume, because he just wore a t-shirt with the jacket, so I wore kind of like a vest with a cravat with the leather jacket. No one knew what the hell I was. And also a leather satchel, which I specifically bought for that costume.
And so everyone just thought you were really confused.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll give you a whole backstory. And then when Dark Eyes came out, I was like, oh man, it's been 3 years, but at least people understand my cosplay.
Now I can wear it to everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a cool outfit. I liked it because whatever they put him in the first time was hideous.
The
Hideous.
green velvet.
Yeah.
Oh, the Wild Bill Hickok
I don't know.
that he
It just-
finds it's a random costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the hospital.
Yeah, and he
I love
looks
the
at the hat
fact that
and he's
Matt
like,
Smith ends up getting his clothes from the hospital as well.
Yeah.
There's that
Well, so did
correlation.
John Pertwee.
Oh, yeah, he did
They're all
too.
getting costumes.
oh, there you go.
It's only Jodie Whittaker who's gone the way they always should have.
Yeah.
Which is to an op shop.
Op shop.
Yes.
And-
Oh, that's the other thing I hate about the movie is that it's so obsessed with the year 2000, which
No.
everything in the late 90s was obsessed with the year 2000.
I honestly forgot about that.
Oh,
But
it's-
weren't we all at that time kind of obsessed
it
with
just
the
makes
year
no sense
2000?
because they set up that the Master's looking for his body, but then just randomly the Doctor's like, we have to do it before the clock strikes midnight. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And then they were like, it's 1999. And I was like, oh, because everyone's obsessed with 2000.
Yeah.
There was no actual reason why.
No, because bad things were going to happen and the Doctor fixed them.
That would have been a better movie.
Yeah, that would have
Actually,
been a better
that's an episode we need. The Doctor solving Y2K.
Yeah.
He
And
just goes around and reprograms everyone's computer. Like, there you go, that's fine. There you go, that's fine.
And so we all go around going, oh, nothing happened. What a letdown. And really, it was the Doctor who saved us.
Exactly.
Except
the whole world was going to fall
we were all
apart.
obsessed with the year 2000, and then it happened, and they were like, oh, all right, 2012.
2012, we're all going to die.
All right, that's it for another episode. Thank you very much.
Now, Charnstar, everybody who comes on, we have to ask them what their Time Lord name would be.
Yes.
So I think you've probably thought about this.
I haven't.
Really?
Mainly because I never thought of myself as a Time Lord. I always thought of myself as a companion.
Oh, really?
So I was never that
We believe
cool.
in you. We believe you could be a Time Lord.
I think
Oh,
you could be a
thanks,
Time
guys.
Lord.
It could have been like because it's such a huge aspect of my personality, even though I don't do stand-up anymore, the comedian.
Yeah.
Because even like when I film make, everything I do is a comedy. So I'd go with the comedian, but then I also have, copyright issues with Watchmen, so...
Yeah. No, you can be the comedian.
Yeah,
We'll
for
vote
our little
you.
podcast, you can be a comedian. And surprisingly, the amount of comedians we've had on, we've never had someone be the comedian.
No,
So,
we haven't.
there you
They-
go.
None of them are as narcissistic as me.
No, we've had the Lazy Susan.
They've all been trying to come up with silly names themselves.
So they're being
Yeah.
They're being
comedians.
comedians. Whereas I'm like, no, I'm just the name. I'm not actually funny. I just have the name.
And talking about your film work, is there anything you'd like to plug?
2 of my short films that I've made, both L Plates and Pizza Deliverance, are both available on Ozflix now, which is a pay-per-view rental service for Australian media. The short films are all free, so you can find them on Ozflix and watch them for free. They're also on Vimeo on demand. You can also find me on Mighty Motion Picture Rangers, part of the podcast network I'm part of. That's definitely called something.
That's not canon.
That's not Canon Productions. Sorry. When we do my podcast, I don't ever do the plugging, so I forget it all. The only thing I ever do plug is, just because I'm here, I'm going to say, hey guys, if you get a chance, watch Red Curtain Hell. It was a feature film made about 2 years ago that I had a big part of. I did visual effects and I also acted in it, and now I'm just taking my role as distributor. So you can find it on Vimeo on demand. That's vimeo.com/on-demand/Red Curtain Hell. You can use coupon code Picture Rangers for 20% off your rental or purchase.
Oh, first code.
He's got like a special.
That's
and
fantastic.
everything.
And I can recommend Pizza Deliverance. I watched it. It's very funny. I really enjoy
you
it.
put money into it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like Die Hard, but with pizza delivery companies.
I like that.
It's really, really cool. Yeah.
We have been talking about the possibility of writing like a feature version.
Oh, that'd be
and
awesome.
I wouldn't do it Die Hard. I'd do it Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Yes. Nicchia?
All in, it's the last Friday of every month at Benyo, and we've got a great lineup as it is.
Awesome. And you can find Nicchia Shut Comedy on Facebook.
Yes, I'm on Facebook, but mainly just listen to the podcast, rate and review us. Love us.
Yeah, love us,
Love
please.
us.
As always, you can follow Adam O'Sullivan Comedian on Facebook and visit thenerdinfinite.com. D4WH is on Facebook. Give our page a like for updates and follow us on Twitter at D4WHpod. Rate and review us on iTunes, recommend us on Facebook, and follow us on Podbean. You can also find us on Spotify.
Yes.
Oh, great. You guys are on Spotify now.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'll subscribe to that now. I was going to my other podcast app every time.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I've got 2 podcast apps. I have to go between the 2 of them. Until next time, keep searching the skies for the Doctor. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
This has been a production of The Nerd Infinite. And then the sound of dragons spitting fire and stuff. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
Edit point.
Edit point.
She hates that.